Next, I'd like to introduce John Stamolis, who's probably well known to you all because John is an independent councillor on the Inner West Council and was an independent councillor on Council, and he's been one of the strongest supporters of the campaign from the get-go, actually. So we're very happy to have John here.
Fellow residents, only 2 weeks ago the Inner West community had the second highest yes vote in Australia for the voice. Why? Because we value a voice. We now expect the Minister and Council to respect the voice of the Inner West community. That is, in December 2021, the Inner West community resoundingly voted to demerge. It doesn't matter how you look at the data, all of our 5 wards voted to demerge. It wasn't just one, it was all 5. And all of our 21 suburbs voted to demerge. In fact, as a statistician of 40 years, I'm going to say to you that I think every street voted in majority to demerge. Yes, after five and a half years of experience in the merger in 2021, the Inner West community wanted no more of it, and we still don't. Isn't it interesting that more people voted in the poll, the demerger poll, than voted for the councillors themselves? That's an interesting little result, isn't it? Not by much, but it shows you the level of interest in the demerger poll. As the author of the poll motion, I was overwhelmed by the result. In the last 100 years, there haven't been many times when polls have been conducted at the local government level, certainly none across the Inner West. It's a rare piece of history, and I'm pleased to have been central to it. Residents For Deamalgamation, that group have worked extremely hard and with very, very limited resources to produce an astounding result of 63% in a grassroots campaign. The merger itself is remarked. The merger has not produced a more efficient or responsive council. No savings have been achieved, service standards have not improved, staff expenses are rising over the long-term financial plan in the next 10 years from 47 to 54%. That's contrary to what we've been told about a merger, isn't it? Staff turnover levels are sitting at 17 to 18%. No organisation can operate with staff turnover levels at that for long periods of time. Asset condition reports show that a council is now accepting lower levels of asset quality. But that's going to increase costs in the future, isn't it, if we accept that? Council's operating performance ratio of the last 2 years has fallen negative. We didn't think we'd ever see that, but the last 2 years it's fallen negative, and next year it's expected to be negative again, the operating performance of this council. The indicators are all there. Environmental spending for Leichhardt and Marrickville councils was at the top of the pack amongst councils. We're now sitting at the lowest environmental spending per capita. A lot of people don't know this stuff because they're not reading the stats, they're not reading the financials. And of course, the spending by the mayoral office is the highest we've ever seen. Yeah. Many of us see that our local main street, shopping village, local environment and our local voice are unimportant in a big council. We're seeing that happen. Only 9 months after the mergers were implemented, the Premier announced that the merger policy was to be abandoned. What a huge policy failure, and we must still live with it now. We need to move out of that. In fact, the merger has entrenched political party control of our council. Labor have achieved a majority. For those who know anything about our 530 councils in Australia, there are only 11 councils out of the 530 who have one-party control. Most councils in this nation, the vast majority, have no politics at the local level. They're people like me who occupy every position on councils. We've seen no leadership from the Mayor on this. The Mayor's not here tonight. No Labor councillor is here tonight. Council submitted a bizarre 900-page submission containing data and forecasts with huge margins for error, submitted that to the Minister, and would not have it independently validated. So our submission is highly problematic. Council has used repeatedly the cost argument to undermine the demerger. Do you remember on the previous council, it was too costly to have a poll of your voices. It was far too costly. It was going to cost $1 million. Well, it cost about a third of that. Now we're moving into territory, very spurious territory, that's going to cost $180 to $260 million to demerge. I don't think anyone believes that. And in fact, the way council have rebased the estimates, they've rebased the estimates to the beginning, to the previous councils, of course, using that methodology, you will highly and grossly inflate the costs of the merger. Simple stats, simple mathematics, and they've done that and submitted that. And in fact, that submission was passed through by Labor on a vote of 8-7, so it was highly party political in that submission of that merger, highly party political. The Minister must allow us to have a far better submission, and we'll be petitioning the Minister to do that. The merger isn't working. It's costing you money now and much more in future. And in fact, any cost analysis of a merger should include the cost of demerging and the cost of staying merged. Both should be considered. We know that many of the merged councils have already put through very high increases in rates, 30 to 50% rates increases on businesses and households. And remember also, the cost of the demerger is one-off. The cost of heavy rate increases are there forever, and we need to make the choice of which one we want to take. And I know that the people in this room would consider a demerger more practical and more efficient in the longer term. Our priority is that the Minister should look at the functioning of councils. The Minister's key objective should be to make sure that our councils are effective and strongly performing across New South Wales. If the Minister can be swayed by highly inflated costs of the demerger, which are not validated, then local government will continue to suffer and lag behind, and will undermine the values and expectations of communities. Thank you.